sir.
Oh, thank you so
I have
much.
to take my friend home to Watsonville, so I gotta,
All right.
I gotta drive.
All right, very good. We'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
And I'll slap your hat right off next time I see you.
Okay.
Okay, done deal. Shake on that.
It's better not wearing a hat when you're the guy. Look at the pictures from last year. Who's the hat?
Okay, all right. You look good. Oh,
You're gonna bring good stuff.
Yes, I have a note to me to do that. So, perfect. And that's going to be the theme of the evening.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That's good.
So people will talk about their birthstones.
You know,
Topaz, opal,
and
opium, marijuana.
or whatever the diamond is.
Birthstone, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Got another big second half. Also the detail.
All right, you asked for it. You know, I didn't know what I was going to play, and that comes out. That was the first song I ever sung as a small child, and I used to sing it all the time until my parents got sick of it. No, that's not a true story. I did sing it though. Yes, there's a pen right there. All right, so we're going to have Rob kick off the second half. Will Rob kindly come up here? He's the Clinch Closer Super Duper Bulldozer. Give him a round, please. I don't hear the applause out there. Okay, let me move this a little so I can get you better. There we go. There we go.
All right.
Go for it!
Act 2. The title of this is Gesundheit. The title of this is Waiter, There's a Worm in My Coffee. No, just kidding. That's the provisional title because I don't know what to call this yet. So here we go. How old will you be when your best lover at last you see? A tender 19? A luminous 63? Maybe your 30s, feeling entitled and free? Perhaps your 50s, ever so wise and witty? How about your 40s, drowning in a sea of lonely? Perhaps your 20s, responding hormonally. How will you react? Will you be grateful and carefree? Or might you try to mold them into your personal mythology? Will you impose your notions of how they should think and be? Will you declare your narrative and expect them to agree? Will you just let be whatever grows organically? Or will you emulate everyone, forever flailing selfishly?
Play along, play along.
And we're about to go from slightly sad to far worse, and I blame our feature for that because her Indian poem, I wasn't going to read this one, but after hearing the Indian poem, this is called De-Lobotomize. The deepest reason why enlightened men crave cuntward carnal couplings again and again is horror. Horror at what's been done to women, on women, in women, through women. Horror at what hands like ours have wrought. What all these male atrocities have taught. Unable to abandon the scene of the crime, we bleed beyond the bounds of time. Blindly seeking wombward ingress, we avert our spirits craving forgiveness that can never come, craving absolution that can never come, craving redemption that, like so many daughters and sisters and mothers, will never, ever, ever, not never, come.
Thank you, Rob. And now, just to give the traditional forewarning, when we have someone who is new, their first time here, to the best of my knowledge, we give them a special round of encouragement, and to make them feel welcome. So with that, we have William. It looks like Crossman. William Crossman, please come forward, please. Come on, let's go. Give him the treatment, ladies and gentlemen. I don't hear no animal noises out there. Animal noises. Pounding of glasses. Whistles. Thank you. Woo-hoo! Ah!
Thank you. My gosh.
There we go. We should
bring it
maybe.
down. I got it.
There you go.
Okay, just a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll focus in on the man. There we go.
I'm going to read a few poems from a new book, War in America, published also by Les Gottesman's Omerta Publishers. It published Julie's book that she read a couple of poems from. So, how many of you had a relative who was in the armed services during World War II? Yeah, I thought so. So, the name of the book is War in America. This poem is called The War in America. I was born in Connecticut to a comfortable middle-class family, and we lived in a very nice, when I was an infant, suburb of New Haven. And all of a sudden our life changed. My father got drafted into World War II. He was stationed in the deep, deep South, Mississippi. And my young mother, they had been married about 3 years, said, you know, we're not going to stay up here in Connecticut while you go down there. We're going to follow you. So it changed our lives and my life, and put me on a completely different course. And this poem called The War in America, these pages are still new. I didn't see the war in America when I was 4, dressed in my soldier suit, posing for photos on my dad's shoulder at the Carolina base. My eyes drawn past the barracks at black men in stripes and shackles, stumbling off the flatbed truck at the edge of the woods, their clanking chains in the turpentine pines around us, laying a silence. As black women boiling lye and fat for soap set aside paddles, black pitch gatherers rested machetes to watch the prisoners scythe the drill ground in bitter rhythm. This war my eyes were seeing, I didn't see when I was 4. Watching skies for signs of invasion by foreign powers, confident that war, if it came, would come from over there, overseas. From my dad's shoulder, I smiled at the camera, thinking, war almost over. Soon, we'd go home to Connecticut. This is kind of a continuation of that story. When my father came home from the Pacific, see here. Might be more comfortable like this.
There you go.
Okay. Called Stealth Silhouettes. Part 1. Arriving home from Pacific War, Dad with shattered shoulder and knapsack full of souvenirs for us. A bronze bazooka shell, a hollowed hand grenade, 8 accurate to scale model planes built from balsa wood over weeks in Army hospital. Fuselages, wings, windshields blackened with paint he found in patient recreation room. I knew those planes, seeing them resting on tarmac at Dad's base and from moving newsreels of smiling, waving flyboys climbing into cockpits, P-51 Mustang, B-17 Flying Fortress, P-38 Lightning, my favorite. Dad on ladder, I hand him planes, he strings them to ceiling, they hang, still silent, hovering above my bed covers, till open window breezes launch waves of takeoffs. Lying in dark before sleep, I watch moving car lights crisscross my ceiling. Enemy searchlights searching the night sky for my stealth squadron they'll never destroy.
Thank you so much. Oh, are you done?
I'd like to do the second part, okay?
Well, you're at 5 minutes though, so we have.
Oh, okay. Next reading, I'll come back and do the second part.
We're working on a feature for this guy. Give him a night around, please. That was really great. This guy. Les? Okay, this is also, you've not been here before, have you?
I'm sorry, no.
Oh, this is another newbie, Klebold. Give him a round as he comes up here. We have a couple more of these newbies in here. All right. And then after him, we have Antoinette, then Hal, then our community feature of the evening. And I'll just leave it at that. You're on, buddy.
Thank you. And thanks for the round of applause. The first poem is called Rulership. It's in 2 parts. In view of our new natural history, we're done here. Planets are bastards, and they kill and kill. John Ashbery wrote so very, very well. Trump data nihilismus. A fig leaf on a bloody circumcision built the pyramids and spoke Greek freebop with Vlad the, sorry, you can't see here, with Vlad the insincere, who sold the story to Mel Gibson. Part 2. Ghostwriters hurled into Cleo's chamber of crocodiles on statutes of statutes of deep state gerrymander. That's Populux snuffling in the Bohr dome to get at the facts before they get to be the facts. And when it's trance for trance, throw the Sahara in their eyes. That's a recent poem, and I'm going to read one more that's a little bit older. Let's see, which of these 2 should I read? Give me a second. Okay, I'll read this one. It's called Call. San Francisco began with all the toys in the box. Now that flea job gets satisfied, I've found, in streets that follow with malice aforethought. Little men, me, sub-vocalizing, unfiltered, unflustered appetites. Sniff my migraine tears before you pull the courtesy plug on my physical body and its material world. You refractory agents whose dog in this race pees on the magic cradle.
Antoinette, come on up, my dear. Give her a nice round of thank you. Les, thank you.
Well, thank you for that welcome after weeks of absence, but I appreciate it. I have one relatively new poem, and it's called Ripe Rubies. Forgive me, you... Sorry. Start all over. Forgive you whose heart was closed. Overlook her whose mind abandoned me. Bear with Holocaust trauma affecting this child. Dismiss you when television screen speaks your name out. Excuse him whose schizophrenia hardened the boy. Release her, the fatherless babe who was mine. Pardon me gluttony that nothing else could fill, green-eyed girl. Beholden to huge hands, my protector. Appreciative for years at Page and Masonic, where St. Agnes held all prayers. Indebted to your attentive ear, children's days recounted while beef stew simmered. Grateful for brothers' sordid stories of walking mummy, their heads split open as scattered jelly beans filled dark spaces. Young love, I swallowed your mouth where I could never remember who I was, thankful you left as ivory soap scent lingers in soft cotton tea. Tiny white daisies all leaning west, the kind old women like on their dress. We laugh while pretending ripe plums are jewels like rubies we can eat. Perceptions solidify our beliefs. We are not alone in experiencing the effects of our seeing.
Antoinette, welcome back. Been a while. Oh, my goodness, it is Hal Robbins, Dr. Hal, coming forward, please. Thank you so much. Just so I remember who I did. I don't remember. I mean, you know.
Well, I was going to do The Sick Rose by Blake for its worm content, but Peter beat me to it. However, the earthworm enters into this fragment, which is an excerpt from the long prophetic poem Milton by Blake. The winepress of Los is eastward of Golgonooza. Before the seat of Satan, Luva laid the foundation, and Urizen finished it in howling woe. How red the sons and daughters of Luva! Here they tread the grapes, laughing and shouting. Drunk with odors, many fall o'er-wearied. Drowned in the wine is many a youth and maiden. Those around lay them on skins of tigers, or of the spotted leopard, or the wild ass, till they revive, or bury them in cool grots, making lamentation. This winepress is called War on Earth. It is the printing press of Los, and here he lays his words in order above the mortal brain, as cogs in a wheel are formed to turn the cogs of the adverse wheel. Timbrels and violins sport round the wine presses, the little seed, the sportive root, the earthworm, the gold beetle, the wise emmet dance round the wine presses of Luva. The centipede is there, the ground spider with many eyes, the mole clothed in velvet, the ambitious spider in her sullen web, the lucky golden spinner, the earwig armed, the tender maggot, emblem of immortality, the flea, louse, bug, tapeworm, all the armies of disease, visible or invisible to the slothful, vegetating man. The slow slug, the grasshopper that sings and drinks and laughs, Winter comes, he folds his slender bones without a murmur. The cruel scorpion is there, the gnat, the wasp, the hornet, and the honeybee, the toad and venomous newt, the serpent clad in gems and gold. They throw off their gorgeous raiment. They rejoice in loud jubilee, dancing round the wine presses of Luva, naked and drunk with wine. There is the nettle that stings with his soft down, and there the indignant thistle whose bitterness is bred in his milk, who feeds on contempt of his neighbor. There all the idle weeds that creep round the obscure places and display their various limbs, naked in all their beauty, dancing round the wine presses. But in the wine presses the human grapes sing not, nor dance. They howl and writhe in shoals of torment, in fierce flames consuming, in chains of iron and in dungeons circled with ceaseless fires, in pits and shades and dens of death, in shapes of torment and woe. The plates and screws and racks and saws and cords and fires and cisterns, the cruel joys of Luva's daughters, lacerating with knives and whips their victims, and the cruel sport of Luva's sons. They dance around the dying, and they drink the howl and groan. They catch the shrieks in cups of gold. They hand them to one another. These are the sports of love, and these the sweet delights of amorous play. Tears of the grape, the death sweat of the cluster, the last sigh of the mild youth who listens to the luring songs of Luva.
Al Robbins. Oh, we have Tommy Abakolameka, our mini teacher of the evening. Come forth, young man.
I didn't know how to respond, so I got up and left the room, left his house. He didn't try to stop me. I walked through the foggy night until I realized I had gone far out of my way. It didn't matter. The relationship was over, and I didn't know what I was feeling. Numb, dumb, angry, sad. I stopped by a park. The bench was cold, like the breeze that had kicked up. The fog crept by like a shadow that seemed to be following me. When the 6th or 7th bus passed without stopping, I knew it must be late. I had to work the next day. I started back, past a few dreary-eyed dog walkers, a lot of darkened houses, stoners, an occasional person on a step smoking. I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep. I suddenly wanted to talk to him. Should I call him when I got home? I imagined he was still sitting in his kitchen at that table we sat around so many times, drinking the latest tea he found in that little back alley shop in Chinatown. I was the first guy he dated since his lover died. They had been together 11 years, traveled around the world, bought a house. I met him through a classified ad. He liked to spend money on me, wanted to take me places I had never seen, urged me to move in with him, hated staying at my place because it was too small and I had a cat who slept on the bed. When he told me I wasn't his type, that I was someone his dead lover would have found attractive, that's why he wanted to be with me and do things for me that his lover had done for him, I walked out, leaving him at that table with the tea set his lover bought him in Thailand and the house his lover left him, now a haunted house. I couldn't compete with a ghost. Oh God, I think he's dead. The young man on the sidewalk outside my office, lying on his side, legs drawn up almost in a fetal position, ragged jacket, worn jeans, dirty bare feet that look like they've walked many miles on cold, rough cement, matted hair. He doesn't seem to be breathing. I'm afraid to touch him, don't want to startle him if he's just sleeping. I kneel beside him. His chest doesn't seem to be moving. People are passing, probably have been passing for some time. They don't stop. Their faces buried in their phones. Just another anonymous homeless person on the street. I pull out my cell, dial 311. The voice on the other end is almost mechanical. She suggests I call the cops. No, I want the homeless outreach team. They're supposed to help in situations like this. I'm going to connect you to the police now. The voice coldly and calmly informs me. I don't want the goddamn police. We have to call the police. There's annoyance in her voice. I've seen cops kicking homeless people to wake them up, heard them berating them. They even killed that homeless man in the Mission. Do not call the fucking cops. Connect me to the outreach team. This man could be dead. Do you understand that? Show some human decency, for Christ's sakes. After some back and forth, she switches me to the outreach team. They're not there. I leave a message. I'm scared and cold and angry. If this can happen in San Francisco, what happens in Peoria? I wonder who this man is, what his name is, whose son he is, what his dreams are. If he's dead, will someone claim his body? He's going to end up in the earth like me, like all the people walking by. The earth is the great equalizer. It doesn't care if you're a prince or a pauper. The worms get us all. The man's face looks angelic. I'll bet he was mama's boy. Maybe he wanted to be an astronaut or a great actor. How did he end up here? Was he evicted? Did he lose his job? The news goes on and on every day about the clothes the rich and famous wear, the galas they attend, the mansions they own, the people they sleep with, dine with. Nobody writes about this man. An outreach van finally pulls up at the curb. Two people jump out. They start asking me questions. They call the emergency medical team. They tell me the man isn't dead. Whew. I ask them not to call the cops. They nod. Another van arrives. The man is placed on a stretcher, still not moving. I watch. It's like a movie. The passers-by lift their eyes from their phones for a split second. I want to spit on them. But I head back into my office, not sure if I'm going to scream or cry or both.
One more? Yeah, you got time for one more? Yeah.
Okay. Change the mood a little.
Right.
Just imagine this. A steep hill in a dark, dark place. The air doesn't move. It clings to me snug and moist. No sound of traffic. No constant stream of cars. No noisy people eager to judge. Just trees silhouetted against sky. A sliver of light along the edges of their trunks and branches. Their leaves blackened against the night. The moon's stoic face between the branches seems to break into a smile. Orion's belt is unbuckled. Sagittarius has a mischievous look. No doubt there are creatures looking nearby, raccoons, coyotes, rats, and squirrels, watching cautiously. I don't blame them for not showing themselves. The grass shudders beneath my feet for a moment. It feels like a little quake. It's just the sensations I'm feeling, making it hard to stand. I'm not separate from all these living things around me. I'm made of the same molecules, the vomit of exploding stars. Never felt more connected. My feet rooted in the soil. My eyes closed now. Humans were meant to be here under the stars, out in the open, not locked in boxes we call houses, ashamed of what we do with bodies that we're taught are near occasions of sin. There is no sin, no shame, though it keeps trying to seep up from synapses I can't erase, brain noise that erupts sometimes as if on a timer, Damn the nuns and priests who planted it there. But they can't take this away from me. My birthright, standing on this steep hill in the dark. Legs spread, hands on his head. He's kneeling as I let go and my body explodes. Thank you.
Javier Colameca, meeting of the evening. Gene, and this is a new Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round as he comes up here. Come on. Ow! Woohoo!
Thank you.
Let me just zoom in on you there.
It's like a zoo.
Well, yes.
Welcome to the monkey house.
David, you're next, so don't.
I'm ready, baby.
Okay.
Okay, this is a poem about these squirrels that caught my attention. Fall squirrels. Squirrels speak in little sentences, over and over, 6 or 7 squeaky revolutions. It's like they're trying to crank up a Model T that shivers, sputters, whistles, and stops over and over. There's nothing to do but take a breath on the brink of anxious despair and try again in the silence, in the fall silence. The squirrels bicker helplessly, like people, revolution after revolution. An effort, little squeaks in each tremor. They try to get the engine going, the engine of language, not even knowing what it would sound like, not even knowing what it would do, just driven to try and get through, to break the silence that drives the squirrels to the edge of hysteria. So they try again. Squeaky little sentences, over and over, but to no avail. The engine of language hasn't even been invented yet, but they can't give up. They are surrounded by quiet, winter coming on. Mist in the ravines doesn't move. There's no way to get away, no way to say what they are trying to say. The animals are cold, knowing what's coming, and nearly out of their minds because they'll never have enough acorns. Although the squirrel's situation is dire, we have to admire their determination, the incessant pleading in their urgent, squeaky sentences, and how touchingly they tuck their agile, black-gloved fingers to their chests as if about to receive communion, and squeak, even daring at times to bark, tiny, belligerent barks, coughing forth puffs of fog like smoke signals in protest or appeal. We try, and the squirrels try, over and over, to get an engine to turn over that won't. They bicker and chase each other like smoke up the tree, then chatter at each other, and we watch them. They're like comedians who won't get off the stage. It's vaudeville all over again. It happens every winter as the earth dies in our mouths.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I think time is up. Give him another round, please. This is a new poet for us. Thank you. And we're going a little short, as you may have noticed, so I'm just letting people know that. And this is David Erdreich. Give him a round of applause, because we haven't seen him in a while.
So I'm going to tell you about my trip. I was gone for 11 days. Just one thing to start, and then I'll get to the worm. The natural world has no brand. Uncle Wormus was my best friend's little brother. That was the nickname we had for him. He had a permanent purple. They may have been connected. That was like when he was about 3 and we were about 7 and 8. So, Uncle Wormus. We will always pass this way again. Hudson River is a two-way street. Fresh water, salt water, waving to the beat. Train stops at Cold Spring 1017. This metro is a local with the trees all turning green. Grand Central Station, predestined destination, seasonal progression. I enjoy the alteration. Yesterday, Lake Awasting of the Shangam Range. Walk in from Minnewaska, overcast, a touch of rain. Ovenbird, myrtle warbler, territorial in spring, a pair of tame mallards, of this wilderness I sing. A city boy, a country lad, explore the iteration, observer of the nation, before my own evaporation. So, and I'll wing it from there. So we went up to Poughkeepsie, went to Bard, where I used to go to school with Steely Dan and Chevy Chase, saw Eric Kiviat, who is an incredible genius and runs Hudsonia Limited. He is the man they all go to for environmental information. He's about 10 walking encyclopedias. Hadn't seen him for 50 years. Come back down. Next day we go to Awasting. Come back, watch the Warriors win, go back into the New York City, go see my that's Monday. Go see my niece and her. She's a single woman. She had a baby a month ago. I get to hold my great niece, Vivian, named after my mother. Put her to sleep twice. Pat her. Just teeny little baby to hold her buttocks in the palm of your hand. And Tuesday we get on the train again. We go to Penn Station. My sister and I. We go down to Hamilton, New Jersey, where there is about an acre. There's a beautiful pond and about an acre of sculptures, some of them like 20 feet, 30 feet high. You come back. Wednesday, Kira Gray, my writing partner from jazz camp, comes into the city, or actually she's in the city. She comes in from Staten Island. I make dinner, or I make a meal for my sister and Kira. We do a little just writing, flash writing. We don't write without thinking, and then we share it. And we used to do this for years at 7 in the morning at jazz camp. And then that evening we go to Jazz Standard on off of Park on 27th. We hear Fred Hirsch on piano and I'll think of her name, Irish name, Kate McGarity, beautiful. Then the next day, Thursday, I get back on the Amtrak. I'm supposed to go to Boston. I get off at Providence. I rent a car. I go see my godson, Rick Jr., who's got 3 boys. These are the geese that fly, the Portuguese, him and his father. He's got 3 sons. They're all working. The middle son, who was a problem, is now out on his own and good. And after that, I go to see his father, because the two don't get along, because living with a father and his wife is the wife's other son, who can be problematic. I spend time with the father. And then I hop in the car again. I navigate from Seacock up to Abington, southeast Boston. I have 3 route changes, and just as it's getting dark, out my buddy, the Artful Dodger Footit, the little self-taught comic book artist, who if I do another book, his stuff of me will be on the front of my book. He pops out in the road, and we spend the next day together. And on Friday, this is Friday, I go up, I get, with a rented car, I go up to Route 128, I drop the car off, I get on the MBTA I go see the niece of the other niece, my sister's other daughter, the sister of the one who had the baby. We have a nice dinner. I get back on the way up in Boston, they came through to take my money. I don't have the, am I done?
Yeah.
I'm done. Okay, you only get half of it. They come through to take my money. I don't have a ticket. I don't have a receipt. I rode for free on the way to the Boston.
They let you ride for free?
They were that stupid. I didn't say
My
anything.
God.
So then I come back and I see my other friend. So, but that's next week. I'll tell you about Phil.
Bill! All right, thank you, David. Zane! Give him a round of applause, Zane. That's good. There we go. And then we got Melissa, Rosie, Dusa, Garrett, Rob, and Shem. I just don't know who's coming up, and I can remember what I'm doing here.
I don't have any I don't have any worms for y'all tonight, but
Darn it!
I do have some maggots. They're in there.
Maggots, yeah, baby. I like maggots.
So yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about this one. I don't usually write or think about things that I write before I write them. But this one I've been thinking about for a while, and I don't know if you guys saw, but like a lot of like buses throughout the city. Whatever. I'm just gonna shut up. This is difficult for me. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I trace a lineage of stone. This is the title. I trace a lineage of stone men who shake and watch home videos of all of them. I seen dread carved into wet cement at train stop off 31st. Some child's dipped finger dragged into permanence. What a birth of feeling. What an opening of light into my dark skull. I pull the reel of film by its tail underneath red bulb, shine straight through pupils eclipse, become man again. Each frame a reminder of red's damn stain, like defeat or anger or forgiving the blood right out of you for camera. We love every cell of these memories, don't we? I seen dread carved into the sidewalk at the end stop off 31st, except this time it's overflowing with motor oil in all its toxic and leave me alone, and I love you and I'm scared and don't talk to me and I'm terrified of you forgetting who I am cut. Advertisement on Alzheimer's disease, remove breath cut. Child on carpet, legs spread, pushing a ball back and forth with man who don't remember he is man anymore. Next reel. My father is looking in mirror and not seeing my father, just stone man who shake cut. I am looking in mirror and see my father cut. I've dipped my fingers into the oil again, cut. In my bedroom, second story cut. It's oil or blood. Oh God, either way, it's something to clean up and or hide from, cut. I hide for years, cut. I am still hiding, cut. I'm dipping my fingers in my father's hidden grief, cut. He speaks all red only once when his mother asks why they kept her alive. Audio track missing. Frantic in cutting room, only find sequences of flipped coffee tables. Where did all of the fond go? Brown on carpet for years, cut. Cold sink water stings, cut. I'm hiding in the truck bed because the dog shit herself again, cut. This movie is terrible. I will never finish, cut. I'm on Geary, and this pale red drapes over my body. I let it stay. The bus pulls up, and on the side it's an image of my father who don't know he is my father. This is how fear moves, on a fucking bus, right in front of you, but you have to get on or walk. How clever I am to pickpocket these meanings, cut. Silverado nursing home, red funnel cake roof, grief garden in the backyard, skate park neighbor I had crossroads to play with and forget about simultaneously, ignore skyscraper just off ground for silent men, see his escape in front of windowsill and watch him through his quiet. My father never spoke in death, so I had to teach myself. It instead crawls out of his eyes as maggots, cause feelings on the outside are rotten meat, and we have no way to keep the stink away from the neighbors, cut. We're on the floor, tumbling body on top of body after he looks me in the eyes and tells me to hit him. I make hole in wall or wall in hole. Either way, I seek one sink wonderfully. cross-legged and absent. Let him know out of spite that I lied to him every single day for 2 years straight, and he's the reason I shriveled small enough to get eaten whole by a razor blade cut. There's tissues cut, no, their roses cut, close up on bed sheets cut. Everyone's parents are dead here cut. We have a parade of mourning and run red lights cut. There's no red and black, even if you look really goddamn close cut. Thank you.
Thank you. Zane. Will Melissa Miller kindly come forward? We haven't seen her for a while here. Give her a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And we got Rosie, then Dusa, then Garrett Robin.
Hi.
Hello.
This is a beautiful book of poetry that Zane put together. And I have a poem in here.
Hello.
I think this is one that I did last time I was here, but you probably won't remember it, so that's fine.
You remember everything.
So big. Okay. This is called And the Echoing. 1. When I was a girl, my grandmother won the lottery. She took trips to Florida and brought me back gifts. A plastic toy alligator I played with in the bath, and a plastic baggie containing a starfish. The insert read, "Sea stars aren't really fish," and I dropped it, kicked it right under my bed, where my cat, Zephyr, immediately dove and ate it. 2. From my great-great-grandmother, I inherited the skull of a catfish shaped like a crucifix. When shaken gently, there is a rattle of calcium stones in the hollows where the ears once were. I remember perching it upon a shelf in an empty bedroom next to the fragile emerald carapace of a dead cicada and part of a squirrel jawbone, teeth intact. 3. I dreamt of a past lover again last night. She pushed through a sea of people to get to me. She said, "Mine," and I glimpsed hunger in her teeth like a shark's as she smiled before she kissed me. I woke, sore cage rattled and bitten. 4. You recently asked me if I'd want to be a shark, using electroreception to detect nerve impulses, hearing low-frequency hums discharged by dying fish, or a dolphin, emitting sound waves from an organ called melon, teeth acting as antennas to receive the echoing back from the sea. And I answered dolphin, and you should know that, yes, it is for pleasure, and it is also because you make my teeth pulse, and it is also because I've grown bone-tired of fishing blindly for heartbeats in open seas, no echoing. 5. The sea star has a vascular system of salt water rather than blood. Imagine what it must feel like to be completely filled with the very molecules that surround you. This is one of my favorite poems by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and attend them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Welcome difficulty. Learn the alchemy true human beings know. The moment you accept what troubles you've been given, the door opens. Welcome difficulty as a familiar comrade. Joke with torment brought by the friend. Sorrows are the rags of old clothes and jackets that serve to cover and then are taken off. That undressing and the beautiful naked body underneath is the sweetness that comes after grief.
Wilson Miller! Put the name of the book. Thank you. I wanted to make sure I distribute that. And now, Rosie Berrieson. Go around, please. And then we have Goose Garrett Robinsham, as you well know.
Hey. Last week I mentioned something about, with all these changes going on, sometime I came back here, I hadn't been around for 4 months, and had noticed that Eugene White's art gallery was closed.
Just recently, too.
Yes, and so I was getting a little concerned that maybe he'd become an ancestor and I didn't know it. Because there's been a few times recently when someone very dear had passed away and I didn't know it. So I did find out, and this is I guess the worm part. This is the anti-worm. He's still alive.
Good.
Okay, and his daughter said he's doing real well.
Good.
So I just wanted to.
How's his wife?
Well, Lynette, I'm not sure about Lynette. Lynette's been this is a weird thing about where you get your information. And Instagram, sometimes I've been using that because I was like, So I've been seeing that Lynette had been putting all kinds of information about Eugene, about his health issues. And then all of a sudden, I didn't see Lynette. And then daughter, Tracy, she does photography, and the mind will put together all kinds of things that it wants to put together. And I saw, why did she make a big deal about that mausoleum out in Colma? And so then I started to think, well, maybe it all means that. And it turned out that wasn't the case. So, woohoo, throw that out. So that was my anti-worm.
Should probably get to your poem.
What's that?
Yeah, should probably read the poem.
She said to say
Oh,
that
okay.
she was going to be passing on information,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I just
All right.
thought to myself, isn't this really weird the way we communicate with each other? It's like I had this whole message part of her Tracy's World photography, and at one point she's going, do I know you? I said, oh, girlfriend. And then I went through the whole lineage of how we knew each other from New Traditions and the kind of crazy things we got up to 25 years ago. So I was just grateful that we could communicate. And then last week, too, there's been some family issues. I was coming into town and took my brother over to this church that we used to go to that's moved to J-Town, St. Benedict's for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, which back in the 60s used to be the Northern California chapter for the anti-war, Vietnam War stuff. So anyway, they have a new priest there, and for the second time, they've got a priest who's deaf. Anyway, I'd forgotten, I used to use some sign in the classroom with the kids, and so I just wanted to share this one with you, and if you are interested, you can even join me, but I don't make anybody do nothing. But it was something to do about my Second Amendment right, So, here I am, and I'm making a chooch. And it turns out that if you want to say, I love you, all you have to do is this. This is an L, the letter L. This is I, and this little one, and this other one. Now is you. So I say to myself, I'm feeling sometimes like, or get out of my way, or just, hey, And I'm saying that to all of you right now. Thank you very much.
Why, thank you. Rosie. We call you Rosie now, right? She's Rosie now. And now we have another debut individual. Dusa, will you kindly come forward? Give her the treatment, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, let's go out there. Come on, out here, out there.
Okay. Raise us.
How can I not feel welcome? Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
I'm just going to read something for you. It's from A Course in Miracles, a lesson. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. It is a wonderful lesson to read anytime you want to give yourself a boast of power and confidence. In this lesson, this is the statement: you have dominion over all things because of what you are. Our very being, our essence, guarantees us dominion. Dominion means sovereignty or control. We have sovereignty and control over all things because of our being and essence. This is why we can heal appearances. This is why we are miracle workers. We think that the world doesn't support this kind of thinking, but we have to support this within ourselves first, before we see that support reflected in this world. Thank you.
Dusa! Thank you. A new voice here. And now, Garrett Murphy. Yes, sorry about that. Garrett, come forward. And we got Robin Shem. But Garrett is coming to get back. Give him a round of applause, please. And yeah, let me just get out and raise this up. Is that good? Oh, yeah, maybe just here. I'll hold your book. Oh, you got it? Okay. And after Rob and Shem, then we'll take care of these wonderful designed, wonderful Wunderbarge prizes, which I like to refer to as prizes.
Two very short bases. The first is called "And You Still Call Yourself a Victim." It is true that it is that you and your own have suffered in ways that no sane person with which, in the fraction of which none should ever have to endure. And of course you want folks to remember so as not to repeat. An essential safeguard it is against all forms of bigotry, and none would convict you of opposing one's oppressors, just for learning too much from them and emulating them to boot. Murdering children you do, and you still call yourself a victim. Kanye not. Kanye not. Take a walk, a shower, a nap, or just a hike. Only one steeped and stranded with a chump in Stockholm would call his ancestors' ordeals a choice of their will.
Kanye! Thank you. That's Garrett Murphy, by the way, in case I didn't say that clearly enough. He always delivers. And now, Shem, since Rob has the last slot, you'll go and then Rob will do the close. Is that okay, Rob? Okay, he says that. All right, then bring Shem up here, then we'll do Rob. And we got gifts aplenty up here, ladies and gentlemen. As they like to say, we have gifts aplenty. Did I say we got gifts aplenty?
Okay, I have something brand new that I started writing 2 nights ago and finished at work today. They're kind of haikus, urban nature scenes, so here it goes. Updraft, plastic bag swirling, drifting, twirling, it spontaneously makes wind visible in the Safeway parking lot at Market and Church. Next. Lovingly enclosed in Ziploc baggies, placed near overflowing trash cans, gleam carefully displayed canine excrements on edges of parks. Next. The lattice of wire and cable that cuts the sky geometrically is being buried little by little below streets and alleyways. Soon the pigeons and tennis shoes will have no wire left to sit and hang. Next. Field mice scurry through buildings, the supplanters of grassy vast expanse. I didn't tell you to build your buildings on top of my meadowlands, I imagine the mouse would say, if it could speak in human language. Here comes the worm one. Earthworms thrash about in cracked concrete rain puddles, reckless, unconcerned. If only like worms, we could live carefree while birds eat us for breakfast. So this is what I wrote, I think when I was 18 in college for the first time, facing a blank page, an essay I had to write, and so I wrote a poem instead, but it took me a really long time to figure out the middle part, and I think I might have finished it finally. It's called Dust and Bugs. Words like dust are sucked into the vacuum of my mind. All thoughts fall away like the hollow exoskeletons of insects. Alone, at the pinnacle of absurdity, vertiginously poised on the edge of the precipice, a pulling, tugging sensation in the pit of my stomach as it sinks to meet the gaping maw of the abyss. And still I leap through the impenetrable void, almost touching the light with my fingertips, only to fall back into the dust and bugs of the world. And just quickly, because of the horror, the kind of ongoing horror of the Israel-Palestine conflict for many decades, and the dread and the hopelessness, I thought I would just remember something that I thought of at one time. I always think that like if Israel had chosen to adopt Yiddish instead of Hebrew, we might have the Israelis might have kept their sense of humor, and we wouldn't be in the situation that we are in now. And with that, I give you. I'm sure you all are familiar with "Let's Call the Whole Thing Off." So I wrote a little line. You say salam. I say shalom. Salam. Shalom. Let's call the whole thing off.
Thank you. Rob! As promised, he opened the second half and he closes it. He is what we call the last word. That's one of these fancy dancy card prizes here, in case you want to know that. And then we'll take care of these prizes. We have doubled them up. Every prize has a prize inside the prize, just so you know. We have.
Can you do the ass dance?
No ass dance.
Thank you.
I don't have my ass quartet with me.
Your ass?
My ass quartet, yes.
Okay. So are you going to bifurcate before us?
No.
Just saying, just checking here, because I have to ask. Lord only knows, what they do.
Yes. All right, I was gonna send us into the night with a happy song, but who am I to blow against the wind? This song, the American Psychiatric Association has levied an injunction against me. I am not allowed to perform this song publicly unless the audience is holding hands. So reach out and touch another human being.
Reach out and
We're human beings. We don't break when we are touched. This is called Dodo Dinosaur.
Oh, I like this one.
I've spent my life trying, but I never will be long. I try to do things right, and then they go all wrong. I just can't play the games, I'm tired of getting along. I'm a dodo dinosaur, I never will be long. I've spent my life trying, but I never will be long. Each day losing struggle, the night so lonely and long. I tried 88 lovers and none of them knew my song. Nobody knows me, I never will be long. I've spent my life trying, but I never will be long. I'm losing my faith in the reasons I was strong. I never figured out how to lose my troubles in a bong. I'm lost and alone, I never will be long. I wish I could find a bridge to a prehistoric place, or a flashing UFO to whirl me out to space. I wish I had a time machine to flee this inhuman race. May I live forever in my dreams before the sweet ones are all replaced. I've spent my life trying, but I never will be long. Please, please tell me why this life we should prolong. Everywhere I look, a mindless, heartless throng. Tell me it's just a joke, I never will be long. The only movie star I understand is a dead ape named Kong. Tell me it's just a dream, I never will be long. All right, Dan, say something happy, will ya?
What a wonderful song that was. We like happy songs. And he delivered. When we say happy song, we call this guy.